Even the most miserable customer service jobs seem easy compared to some of these genuinely horrific ones. Come along as we reveal the world's most terrifying and dangerous jobs, from electrical engineers to crocodile stuntmen. Number 10. Crocodiles are among the deadliest animals on the earth because of their vicious teeth, excellent sense of smell, and bite force that can break through bone. Furthermore, the Siamese crocodile is just the same. These 13-foot-long natives of Southeast Asia have a mouth full of 64 very sharp fangs. However, it doesn't seem like the staff at the Samphan Elephant Ground and Zoo in Thailand is bothered by that. There, it's safe to assume that the staff members become rather acquainted with the Siamese crocs, as crocodile wrestling is one of the zoo's primary attractions. They even attempted perilous acts like placing their hands and even heads between the croc's open jaws, as if that wasn't already deadly enough. As absurd as it may seem, the zoo has been doing these acts since 1985. You won't be shocked to learn that these crocodile antics haven't always gone as planned, given the sheer volume of shows. A trainer's arm was bit by a crocodile in 2018 while they were performing. Fortunately, the bite wasn't too severe, and 2 weeks later, the stuntman was back at work. Number 9. The Himalayan and Kakar Mountains appear to be the perfect place to enjoy the beauty of nature at first glance. Despite how peaceful the view may appear, workers in these mountains put their lives in danger every single day. Mad honey is made by bees that consume rhododendron plants, which are abundant in these hilly areas. Due to its high demand and the buzz it may provide, this mud red honey has gained popularity. A pound of the substance can sell for as much as $80. However, there's one minor issue. Because rhododendrons grow best at high elevations, bees build their nests on rocks high up in the mountain. Therefore, workers must gather honey from the actual cliff face, which is around 300 feet above the ground. They generally use bamboo rope ladders. Before the honey harvesters descend from above and reach the terrible prize on the steep face below, the ladder is nailed into the mountain. Naturally, they also have to contend with the threat posed by bees. The world's largest honeybee, at a spine-tingling 1.2 inches in length, is the Himalayan giant honeybee, the creature that makes mad honey. It's not easy work, as you can imagine, to have thousands of these creatures attempting to sting you while you're hanging 300 feet over the ground. But mad honey harvesters have to be aware of other creatures besides hefty bees. These mountainous areas are also home to 9-foot-long, 1,300-pound brown bears. Number 8. Located in the Himalayan mountain range, Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. A native tribe from the area known as the Sherpas are skilled in navigating it and are frequently hired to lead inexperienced mountain climbers up Mount Everest. On the mountain, it can get as cold as -35 degrees Fahrenheit. This region is not for the faint of heart, as hypothermia can occur at temps as low as 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Avalanches, which can contain up to 1 million tons of snow, are another danger. The famed Khumbu Icefall is a 2.5-mile length of constantly flowing ice that is so unstable that climbers must cautiously traverse 150-foot deep crevasses using ladders. It is known for ice slabs the size of houses falling down the trail. Because of how dangerous it is, between 1953 and 2023, 47 fatalities have been reported on this section of the Everest trek alone. In addition to providing guidance during the brutal hike, Sherpas are frequently hired to risk their lives to carry the food, tents, and oxygen canisters of climbers in order to reach the peak of the mountain. Tragically, about 100 Sherpas have lost their lives in the past century assisting climbers on Mount Everest. Number 7. If you're fishing for Alaskan crab, it may not be the most pleasant activity. For these fishermen, fishing is more about survival than it is about relaxing. Each year, there are more than 300 fatalities in Alaskan king crab fishing for every 100,000 workers. But why is this such a dangerous line of work? Well, there are some very real risks associated with the king crab's habitat, the choppy waters off the coast of Alaska. Here, the ship's deck may rise 45 feet or more above the waves, and the 70 miles per hour winds have the potential to sweep workers off their feet. As if that weren't hard enough, the fishermen frequently find themselves soaked, blown about, and freezing when the temperature drops below 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Workers who haul up crab captures run the risk of slipping overboard, and since the water may become as cold as 30 degrees Fahrenheit, a person who gets lost at sea would be lucky to make it 5 minutes in the icy depths. Workers risk breaking bones or possibly suffering traumatic brain injuries if they become entangled in the coil lines that haul up the 800-pound captures. As if all of that wasn't dangerous enough. And when you consider that they are hundreds of miles from a hospital and in the middle of the sea, that sounds even more terrifying. Number 6. Even if the work of an Alaskan crab fisherman may seem difficult, at least they have access to a boat. The man in charge of cleaning this pier cannot say the same. In the water, underwater welders join or fix underwater machinery, pipelines, and infrastructure. Underwater welders are not alone in the deep, black ocean, especially at depths of up to 1,300 feet. That shark is a 12-foot-long, 600-pound porbeagle shark, which is related to the great white shark. That's not even close to all of it, though. They require powerful lights to see the structures they're working on at these depths. However, the plankton attracted by these lights attracted fish as well as their predators. Furthermore, underwater welders cannot quickly flee a shark-infested area, no matter how eager they may be to do so. A diver's body absorbs more nitrogen into its tissues as a result of the rising water pressure at these depths. As divers ascend, the pressure of the surrounding water drops, causing bubbles to emerge from the nitrogen that has been absorbed. Decompression sickness can result from these bubbles building up in the bloodstream after an excessively rapid ascent. This typically causes numbness, weariness, confusion, headaches, and dizziness. Number 5. Another job at sea that's just as terrifying is a lighthouse keeper. Lighthouses used flames to provide light until the development of the light bulb. An example of the potential threat occurred in 1755 at the Eddystone Lighthouse, located off the southern coast of England. Henry Hall and the 95-year-old lighthouse keeper found that the top of the tower had caught fire due to a spark from the lantern. A spray of molten lead fell from the roof directly into Hall's face and throat as he looked up to throw a pail of water on the fire. He somehow survived his escape from the lighthouse, but regrettably, 12 days later, he passed away from a stuffed stomach containing half a pound of solid lead. The work of a lighthouse keeper is still dangerous, even in modern times. Because of their jagged coastlines, lighthouses are positioned in exposed areas where strong waves frequently occur. This allows ship captains to navigate around them or determine their position by locating them. However, despite their seeming size and heft, these constructions are not indestructible. Over time, lighthouse structures may deteriorate due to wave pressure. Number 4. There are many amazing buildings in our world, such as the Empire State Building and the Eiffel Tower. However, have you ever considered the process of first establishing these monuments? After all, there is a structural framework included with every large construction. Ironworkers are responsible for installing the metal supports for newly constructed buildings as well as maintaining and repairing older ones. However, creating the foundation for these things is not simple. There are 47 fatalities in this field for every 100,000 workers overall. In order to avoid falling to the pavement, ironworkers typically work hundreds of feet in the air while wearing only a harness. Not to mention the absurd circumstances that these workers may encounter. Ironworkers, however, must be aware of more than just the threat of falling. There's a chance that enormous swinging iron beams will collide with them. Number 3. Most of us find that taking a stroll through a forest allows us to relax and connect with nature. However, after learning about this next job, you might not have such a quiet walk in the woods. It's understandable why lumberjacking isn't a career for the timid, with an astonishing fatal work injury rate of 82 per 100,000. They work with chainsaws, chippers, choppers, and other tools that can quickly cause danger on a daily basis. However, they are not the only ones in peril from those scary machines. Given that the majority of their work involves cutting down trees, there is also a very real chance that lumberjacks will be crushed by them. And you wouldn't want it to fall on you, considering that the typical tree lumberjack uses may weigh up to 5 tons. Furthermore, even though they employ cutting techniques to guide a tree's fall, lumberjacks aren't always able to predict which direction a tree would fall. Some lumberjacks even climb trees on foot in order to trim off any loose branches. Number 2. You can tell that combating fires is a dangerous job just by looking at the name. No matter how you describe it, fighting a blazing building or wading into a fire doesn't sound safe. Even though that may sound frightening, consider smoke jumpers. In case you were unaware, smoke jumpers are firefighters who parachute from airplanes. Skydiving may be the greatest fear for many people, but for smoke jumpers, it's just part of the daily grind. Aircraft pass over the forest fire prior to the smoke jumpers landing in what appears to be an unimaginably harsh place. Firefighting materials are parachuted down to assist the smoke jumpers in battling the fire once they land. But how precisely can you put out a fire without the help of a fire truck or a fire hydrant? Smoke jumpers then establish a fire break. This area is designed to cut off the fire's fuel supply, which is accomplished by swiftly felling trees and excavating trenches in the fire's path. There are now only 400 smoke jumpers employed by the U.S. government due to the extreme risk and high skill level of the position. Number 1. There are many breathtaking crossings in the world, like the Tower Bridge in London and the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. The people who build these absurd structures are the bridge builders, who put their lives in danger so that you can go across safely. Look at the Aijia Bridge in China. The length of this enormous bridge, about 4,000 feet, is hardly the most astounding feature of this incredible construction. Because the bridge spans a canyon 1,102 feet above the ground, the workers who built it were higher than those who built the Eiffel Tower. As you may expect, the primary danger associated with constructing bridges from such heights is falling. One incorrect step may result in a 10-second plummet into the pavement. Although workers are often held by a harness to prevent them from falling to the ground, Aijia Bridge photographs showed that this wasn't always the case. One of the most famous bridges in the world, the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, spans the Pacific Ocean. However, were you aware of this location's horrific past that is less well known? Sadly, at least 27 people lost their lives in the 1883 project. When huge blocks of stone fell during the bridge's building, several laborers abandoned this mortal coil, while some workers unintentionally fell from the towers themselves. Workers risked their lives for as little as $2 a day, if that doesn't sound gruesome enough. Which job do you believe you would have the courage to take on? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.